She thought she could own the mountain, carve it, blast it, and build her dream. Resort on top of it, the HOA praised her for beautifying the area until the first crack appeared. Within hours, the paradise she built turned into a nightmare no one could explain. Her mansion? Gone. Her pride? Buried. Some say it was just nature's rage. Others say it was karma, balancing the scales. But the question still haunts everyone in that neighborhood. What really made the mountain collapse that night? Before all of this, before the noise, before the headlines, the mountain was quiet. It stood above a peaceful valley community, where homes lined the slopes like soft brushstrokes on a canvas of green. For years, life there was simple. Neighbors waved from driveways. Children rode their bikes down winding roads. And every sunrise painted the sky in gold and violet. Then she arrived. Her name was Catherine Hale, the new HOA president, elegant, ambitious, always speaking, with an authority that felt one step above everyone else. When she moved in, people admired her at first. She talked about progress, modernization, and value appreciation, words that sounded good at HOA meetings but carried a shadow of control. Catherine didn't just want to maintain the community, she wanted to redefine it. She called it elevating the neighborhood, and soon, her eyes shifted toward the mountain that loomed above them all. It was untouched land, wild, rugged, and old. Locals believed it was sacred in its own quiet way. But Catherine saw something else. She saw potential. The dream began small, a viewing deck, maybe a trail. But dreams like hers never stay small for long. At one HOA meeting, she unveiled her plan: a private resort, a spa, luxury villas, and a mansion for herself right at the top, a landmark of prestige. She called it. The applause was hesitant. Some clapped because she expected them to. Others exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the mountain wasn't meant to be disturbed. But she was already making calls, already signing contracts, and before anyone realized, the trucks had arrived. That's when the peace on the mountain ended. The drilling started early each morning. The sound echoed down the valley like thunder. Trees that had stood for decades were ripped out by their roots. Every day, something ancient disappeared, replaced by scaffolding, cement, and arrogance. At first, a few homeowners tried to speak up. One couple filed complaints about runoff, water destroying their yard. Another warned that the slope was unstable. Catherine dismissed them all. The HOA board has approved it, she'd say, her tone final. Except there was no vote, no record, just her word and her power. The project grew faster than anyone imagined. Blasting crews cut into the bedrock, carving space for a mansion so large it cast shadows across the valley. Every warning from geologists was labeled as fear-mongering. Every concern from neighbors was met with a fine. She fined people for unsightly yards, unapproved fencing, and even negative public comments. No one could fight back, not when she was the HOA. But nature noticed what was happening. Small things came first: cracks in the road, tiny slides after rain, and strange rumbles deep underground. Contractors started quitting, saying the ground didn't feel right. Catherine replaced them, paid double, and pushed harder. By midsummer, her resort stood nearly finished, glittering white, stone and glass perched above the valley like a crown. And yet, the mountain beneath it was trembling. A retired engineer from the neighborhood warned her one last time. He showed her data, erosion charts, and weather predictions. She smiled and said, "Progress always shakes the ground a little." No one could stop her until the mountain decided it would. That week, storms rolled in, heavier than anyone had seen in years. Rain poured for days, soaking through the fractured soil. The cracks widened. The air grew heavy, and still, construction continued. She refused to delay the grand opening. The night before the ribbon cutting, a low sound rippled through the valley, a deep, groaning roar from inside the earth. Lights flickered, windows rattled, and then, without warning, the mountain moved. The ground tore open beneath her mansion. What began as a shudder became a roar. A sound so violent it drowned out the storm. The slope collapsed in waves, like an ocean of mud and rocks swallowing everything in its path. Her luxury resort, the pride of the HOA, was devoured in seconds. Balconies crumpled like paper, pillars snapped, glass shattered and vanished into a torrent of red clay and stone. Down below, neighbors watched helplessly as the mountain fell apart. The sky glowed with lightning, each flash revealing more destruction, roads disappearing, gardens buried, water mains exploding. Catherine ran. She reached her car just as the driveway behind her folded in. Her mansion, her symbol of power, disappeared behind a wall of earth, and as she drove down the hill, tires sliding, she looked in the rearview mirror one last time and saw the lights of her resort sink into the ground like candles being snuffed out. By the time she reached the valley floor, the mountain was silent again. No fire, no sound, just rain falling on a wound that would never fully heal. The mountain had taken back what was stolen, and for the first time in her life, Catherine Hale was powerless. When dawn came, nothing remained of the mansion, just mud, debris, and the twisted metal of dreams built on. Arrogance, the HOA that once praised her vision, now stood in front of cameras, denying responsibility. But the truth was buried with the resort, literally and morally. News crews called it the mountain that fought back. For the first few days, search teams dug through the rubble. They found no lives lost, only lives forever changed. And somewhere in the wreckage, the HOA's seal, once stamped on every notice, every fine, lay cracked and useless. Catherine survived, but barely. Her car had been trapped halfway down the slope, and rescuers found her staring blankly at what used to be her home. She didn't speak to reporters, didn't argue, because there was nothing left to defend. Investigations followed. The county found falsified permits, ignored safety warnings, and missing inspection records. Everything pointed back to her, the woman who wanted to own a mountain. The lawsuits came next. Neighbors demanded accountability. Families displaced by the slide sued the HOA and every contractor involved. The board dissolved. The HOA's bank account was drained by settlements, and Catherine, the queen of the mountain, vanished from public life. But the real story wasn't about her anymore. It was about the people she'd left behind. They rebuilt slowly. Together they rewrote the HOA charter, stripping away the kind of unchecked power that had let one person destroy so much. Decisions became transparent, votes mattered again, and through their unity, the neighborhood began to heal. Nature, too, started its own quiet recovery. The scarred earth sprouted. Grass, wildflowers returned. Even the birds, once driven away by the sound of drilling, came back to sing at dawn. Time moved on, but the story never faded. Locals still tell it to newcomers, a reminder of what pride can cost and what humility can rebuild. Some say Catherine moved away. Others claim she still drives by on foggy nights, parking by the old access road, staring up at the mountain that took everything from her. Maybe searching for forgiveness, maybe realizing that the mountain never hated her. It simply refused to obey her, because nature doesn't seek revenge. It restores balance. And so, the mountain stands again, reshaped, quiet, alive. A silent monument to a lesson humanity keeps forgetting. You can own land, but you can't own the ground beneath your feet. She tried to live above everyone and ended up beneath everything. And as the valley sleeps below the rebuilt slopes, one truth remains. In the battle between greed and ground, the ground always wins.